Hola chicos. All right, this is our third video about the uses of the subjunctive. We did will and influence, we did emotions, and now we're doing doubt or denial. Now, those are usually when we talk about when do you use the subjunctive in noun clauses. Those are usually what we're going to hear. We're going to hear, will, influence, emotion, doubt, denial. Now, we haven't learned about doubt, denial yet. We're going to do that now. Now, I don't think that the doubt, denial one is the trickiest of them, but it is a little bit different. It does have kind of an additional rule, a couple actually additional rules to go along with it that make it a little bit more complicated. But I feel like doubt and denial in particular, this of the uses is the one that really stands out. They're a little more obvious. Seeing that a verb of volition or will, influence, like those are hard. They're a little bit more ambiguous at times, where it's like, oh, I guess, yeah, this is, I need you to do this. Yeah, I guess that's influence. Emotion, when I say es mejor que, it's better that, I guess that's emotion. But with these ones are a little more clear cut. I don't think there's doubt there. Literally, dudan, dudar, to doubt. There's obviously doubt there. So when it comes to that, to recognizing the vocab and knowing whether there's doubt or denial in it, it's a little bit more obvious. But there's a little more nuance to it than there are with the other rules. And we'll talk about those today. So in our lesson right now, you can see, just like with our other ones, when that first clause has the subjunctive, we will use the main clause is going to have the indicative first to tell us that we're going to use the subjunctive. So in our first sentence here, we've got no creo. Now here in no creo, we have, it's an indicative, present tense indicative conjugation. Now remember, I'm going to try to keep making this clear in each video, but every time that we have a trigger, a subjunctive trigger in Spanish, that trigger is going to be in the indicative to tell us use subjunctive in the subordinate clause. So here we've got the no creo. Let me fix that. Sorry. We've got the whole no creo. Híjole, lo siento. We've got right here, no creo. Sorry, I'm gonna get my drawing tool up and hope that it works. All right, so I think I've got it now. I had a little technical difficulty, but here you can see again, no creo. That is an indicative conjugation. No creo, it's the old form of creer. But that tells us I don't think this, which tells us there is doubt in that first clause, in the main clause. So that also tells us that we need to use the subjunctive in the second clause, in the subordinate clause. And we conjugate it quiera because it's él is the subject, right? Because he wants it. So we conjugate querer in the él form, present tense, subjunctive, conjugating the subjunctive because of the no creo. And the other one, a little bit more, I think even more obvious, even though I think the other one was kind of obvious. Dudan. Dudan comes from dudar, and dudar is to doubt, literally to doubt. So obviously we have doubt in that main clause, which tells us we're going to use the subjunctive in the subordinate clause. They doubt that the syrup would be a good treatment. Dudan que el jarabe sea un buen tratamiento. Now, the jarabe is the subject of the second sentence, of a second clause, sorry. And it is third person singular. You conjugate, in this case, it's ser. We're conjugating in the third person singular form. It is one of those irregular ones. Remember, drop the yo, go to the yo form, drop the o at the ending, but there isn't an o at the end, so that's how we know it's in irregular form. All right, so here are some examples of verbs that have doubt or denial. Now, these are, again, I think they're fairly obvious. Now, Another word you might have thrown in here, and actually I do like to throw it in here, is the word probability. Probability is also, so doubt, denial, and probability. Those are also triggers for the subjunctive. Now you also notice that any of the ones that say es in them, es imposible, es improbable, es poco seguro, es posible, no es posible, es probable, no es probable, es evidente, or no, sorry, no es evidente, no es seguro, no es verdad, cierto, no estar seguro. Oh, that one doesn't go along with it. Sorry, I saw the S of estar. So anyway, those are all examples. Those are all impersonal expressions. I've alluded to those already. I'm going to get more into them into our next video, but just know that these, whenever it's easy to see, it's impossible, it's improbable, it's probable, it's possible, it's uncertain. Those are really obvious ways to show that there is probability or doubt or denial in any of those expressions. So one other thing you might notice about these is if you look at these two right here. Now, these are really, they go along with probability. One thing that stands out between them is hoping you can kind of recognize that they've got the no in the parentheses for each of them. So we've got no es posible and no es probable, but it also means es posible and es probable. Those are both, those are all okay options to use with subjunctive. Es posible que subjunctive is going to follow. Es probable que subjunctive is going to follow. But also, no es posible subjunctive. No es probable que subjunctive. But there are other ones like es imposible, es improbable, and no es evidente, no es seguro. Those don't have the parentheticals, right? They just have just es. And that is not an accident. This is how it's supposed to be. When you have no in front of es imposible or es improbable or es poco seguro, when you put no in front of it, you negate all the doubt that was there. So again, this is a grammatical doubt, not a literal doubt. So if something is impossible, we'll use the subjunctive. But we say no es imposible, in that case, we are actually going to eliminate the doubt there, and we are going to use the subjunctive, or I'm sorry, the indicative after it. So es imposible que is going to be with the subjunctive. No es imposible que is going to be with the indicative. Es improbable, that one right here, es improbable with the subjunctive, but no es improbable will be with the subjunctive. Sorry, the indicative, I said it wrong again. So es improbable will be with the subjunctive. No es improbable would be with the indicative. The same thing works for the other ones. The no es evidente, that's with subjunctive, but es evidente, that's with indicative. It actually goes along with this one as well. No creer. No creer is with subjunctive. I don't believe something. There's doubt. If I get rid of the no and I just say I believe something or I think something, it still sounds like there's doubt, but grammatically speaking, there isn't. So if you would get rid of the no of creer, that looks bad, but get rid of the no of creer, what you're left with is going to be actually indicative. So this is one of those things I was talking about with the nuance to it, because it makes it a little bit weirder that if you have, besides the posible and the probables, if you get rid of no with a doubt expression, you are getting rid of doubt. If you add no to the S, those probable, the impossible, improbable, poco seguro, you add no to those, it also gets rid of the doubt. So, it's a little bit weird. I'm going to show you a little formula later on that'll kind of put it all together. It's not great. It's what I just explained here, but it's kind of an easy way to look at it. I'll do that in a minute though. So one other thing, and now I actually disagree with this wording here. The infinitive, not the subjunctive, is used with verbs and expressions of doubt if there is no change in the subject of the sentence. Now, that's actually not true. There are plenty of examples of when you would use the subjunctive without a change in subject. If you have a change in subject, I can say, like, I doubt that I, you know, whatever verb I want to use there, but I doubt that I am ready. Yo dudo que yo esté preparado. It's not required. Now, it is, there might be ways to word around it. I'm not going to say I hear that stuff a lot, but it is grammatically correct to use subjunctive, even if there's not a change of subject, with this specific set of uses. With verbs of doubt, denial, if you don't have a change of subject, you do not have to use the infinitive there. You can still use the subjunctive. Now, as you can see, like the es imposible viajar example here. Now, this isn't exactly the same thing as having a change in subject. This is more or less, you're having, what you're saying is, traveling is impossible today. So you're not really even using the to travel as a verb necessarily in that sentence. So not a great, I don't like the way this is worded, and it's definitely, it's not true, because this can happen. This is from the textbook, so it's easy to kind of show you notes that are already set, and I can kind of walk through them with you. But the next one, I like, this is a good example of when you'd use it. Es improbable que el viaje hoy. So, it's unlikely that he would travel today, that he is traveling today. That is in the subjunctive, because we've got doubt with a change in subject. It's easy to see. But almost always when you have an es imposible or es improbable, it's probably going to have a K and then subjunctive, pretty much always. There is the option, though, of using an infinitive here as well. So a little bit weird with that. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to try to show you one more thing here before we move on. So now we can see here, this is the thing I was talking about earlier, where, if you have an expression of certainty, again, grammatical certainty, even something like yo creo, I think, I believe. No matter how certain you are, literally, it doesn't matter. It goes along with the grammatical certainty. And so we would use the indicative in whatever follows. So if we have the, I think that, she is pretty. Yo creo que ella es bonita. But I use the es in that second clause, in the subordinate clause, because it's something that I think. Now, if I said that I don't think she is pretty, I'd probably come across as really mean, but I'd also have to switch that to sea in the subordinate clause. So, creo que, so in that, I'm going back to that first example right here. Sorry, guys. When I go to this first one here, I'm going to use the certainty. If I want to say that I think that she is pretty, yo creo que ella es bonita. But if I put just a no in front of that sentence right here, so no creo, I'm using that same sentence I just had here, but I put no in front of that. That's not only going to have the no in front of it to be different, it's also the verb in the second clause, the subordinate clause, is going to be now sea. No creo que ella sea bonita, because I've now negated that certainty. It's just kind of funny how it works. Regardless of how literally certain you are, it doesn't matter. It's just the way it works grammatically. So, creo que, going to be with indicative, certainty. Same thing is true if you have something like es cierto que, indicative. Put no in front of that, no es cierto que, subjunctive. When it comes to doubt, again, that might be something like literally dudo, I doubt, dudo que ella sea bonita. I doubt she's pretty. Your pretend girlfriend from Canada. I doubt she's pretty. Dudo que ella sea bonita. I'm using the subjunctive there because there's doubt. Same sentence, but I put no in front of it. I do that. No dudo. Now, when I put no dudo, I have negated that doubt. gotten rid of it, and now we use the indicative. No creo que tu novia de Canadá es bonita. No, I'm not sure if I screwed that up. Sounds like I screwed it up. No dudo que. I don't doubt. So it's a little bit weird because that's just, you can do that, but it's just sounds silly. They're saying, I don't doubt that. Instead of using it that way, you might just say, I think that, or I believe that. But we'll just, for, it can happen. You can say, I don't doubt. No dudo que ella es bonita. No dudo que. Sounds weird, but it works, and it's totally something that happens in Spanish. And again, going back to what we did here with impersonal expressions, you had a phrase like es dudoso que, that'll be followed with subjunctive. Es dudoso que la clase tenga mucha tarea. It's doubtful the class has lots of homework. Es dudoso. We put no in front of that. No es dudoso que la clase tiene mucha tarea.